When we talk about character, it's easy to think of grand gestures or big moments. But the truth is, a person's true character is revealed in the small, everyday interactions. It's those seemingly insignificant moments, how we treat the cashier at the store or the janitor who cleans the building, that give us a deeper understanding of who we really are. And these moments matter more than we realize, especially when they come from a place where we don't expect anything in return. Think about it. How often do we think about how we treat people who can't offer us anything in return? The people who serve us, help us, or make our lives easier in small ways. These are the moments when our real nature comes through. Sometimes, when we're in a hurry or feeling stressed, it's easy to forget the power of a simple thank you or a warm smile. But these small gestures are not only about kindness. They reflect emotional intelligence and maturity. They reflect how we control our emotions, even in minor inconveniences like a delayed meal or a miscommunication. Take a moment and reflect on how you behave when no one is watching. When you're at the grocery store, in a restaurant, or at the doctor's office, how do you treat the people around you, especially the ones who might not have the ability to do anything for you in return? It's important to realize that these small moments are not insignificant. They are powerful indicators of our true character. So, as we explore this, I encourage you to think about your own actions, your own behavior. Are there times when you've been impatient or unkind? And if so, how can you make a conscious effort to do better? Have you ever stopped to think about how you treat people who can't offer you anything in return? Think about a simple interaction with a cashier, or maybe the janitor who quietly goes about their job without seeking attention. These moments, although small, reveal so much about who we are as individuals. They show our emotional intelligence and our level of empathy. The way we treat someone who is not in a position to benefit us, whether it's a service worker or a colleague, reflects our true character. In many ways, small interactions like these are more telling than big, important events. When we deal with people who have no power to offer us something, we can't rely on the need for a favor or recognition to guide our actions. It's just us and them, and how we act during these moments is a real reflection of who we are. The truth is, the little things matter. The smile we give to the person helping us, the patience we show when things don't go as expected, those are the things that count. You see, kindness doesn't always have to be big or dramatic. It can simply be a warm look, a thank you, or even holding the door for someone. These moments show emotional maturity, showing that we don't need to get anything back to behave with respect and kindness. And it's not just about being polite. It's about being genuine. When you treat others with respect, regardless of their position, it shows a deep understanding of human dignity. If you've ever been on the receiving end of a smile or a simple compliment from someone you didn't know, you know how much it can lift your spirits. Think about how you feel when someone acknowledges your efforts without asking for anything in return. That's the power of small gestures. It creates a ripple effect, fostering an environment of respect and understanding. Sometimes it's the smallest gestures that make the biggest impact. It's not about grand acts of generosity. It's about sincerity in the little things. You don't need to do something extraordinary to leave a lasting impression. A simple thank you or a genuine smile can make someone's day, especially if they're used to being overlooked or taken for granted. Contrast this with the impatience we sometimes show when things don't go our way. Think about a time when you've been frustrated. Maybe a waiter got your order wrong, or you were stuck in traffic. It's easy to lose your cool in those moments, especially when things don't go according to plan. But that's when your emotional maturity is tested. Instead of responding with anger or irritation, it's an opportunity to show patience, understanding, and grace. Imagine how much better the world would be if we could all take a step back, take a breath, and remember that these minor inconveniences don't define us. Our reactions to small frustrations tell others a lot about our emotional control and it's a chance to rise above the situation with maturity. It's also an opportunity to model kindness for others, especially younger generations who are watching us. This is where we need to look inward. How do you treat those around you, especially when they can't offer anything in return? When was the last time you showed genuine kindness to someone who couldn't do anything for you? Reflecting on these questions can give us a better understanding of our own actions. And it's not just about treating others well. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and patience. When we are emotionally mature, we are able to remain calm and kind in all situations, whether it's in traffic, at a restaurant, or in line at the bank. So, ask yourself this. How do I react when things don't go as expected? Do I get frustrated and let my emotions take over? Or do I stay calm, patient, and kind? These moments are opportunities for growth. They challenge us to handle minor setbacks with grace, teaching us to be better not only for ourselves but for the people around us as well. Emotional maturity is a reflection of how well we can handle life's little frustrations. Whether it's waiting for a table at a restaurant or dealing with a slow cashier, our ability to stay calm and composed in the face of these situations says a lot about us. The next time you find yourself in a minor inconvenience, take a moment to check your emotional response. Are you getting upset over something small, or are you handling it with maturity? The more we practice self-control in these situations, the more we grow emotionally. When you think about the promises you've made, what comes to mind? Whether it's a promise to your family, a commitment to a friend, or something as simple as a promise to yourself, keeping our word is a reflection of our personal integrity. In fact, it's one of the clearest ways to gauge our emotional intelligence and maturity. Promise isn't just a formality. It's a commitment that involves trust, responsibility, and respect, not only toward others but also toward ourselves. Promises reflect personal integrity. Every time we make a promise, we're creating a bond of trust. The person receiving your promise is placing their faith in you, and that bond becomes a mirror to your character. A promise can reflect who you are, your values, and how seriously you take your responsibilities. Think about the promises you've made to your loved ones over the years. They're more than just words. They are the foundation of your relationships. When you honor those promises, you're showing that you can be relied upon, that your word holds weight. You are demonstrating that you care enough to keep your commitments, regardless of the circumstances. Personal integrity is rooted in our ability to keep the promises we make. In a world that often feels unpredictable and fleeting, our word becomes one of the few things that we can control. If we want to be respected and trusted by others, we must first learn to respect and trust ourselves to honor the promises we make. When promises are broken, the damage can be more profound than we might realize. It's not just the promise itself that gets broken. It's the trust that is shattered in the process. Think about it. When you've had someone break a promise to you, how did it make you feel? Hurt, disappointed, and maybe even betrayed. This is because promises are built on trust, and when that trust is violated, it's not just a disappointment. It's a breach of the connection you shared with that person. Broken promises can lead to resentment and, over time, it can create a gap between people. This is why it's so important to think carefully before making a promise. Words have power, and once we make a commitment, we should do everything in our power to keep it. Failing to do so can leave lasting scars, both on the relationship and on our own self-image. We all know that feeling of guilt that comes with breaking a promise. It can linger, leaving us questioning our reliability and causing tension in our relationships. The true test of character comes when things get tough. It's easy to keep a promise when everything is going smoothly, but when life throws curveballs, when challenges arise, that's when your character is truly tested. Think about times when you've had to keep a promise under difficult circumstances. Perhaps you promised to visit a friend in the hospital, but your own health was compromised. Or maybe you pledged to help a family member with something, but you were overwhelmed with your own responsibilities. In these moments, your ability to keep that promise speaks volumes about your resilience, responsibility, and emotional strength. In these difficult times, it's not just about sticking to your word for the sake of being right. It's about honoring the commitment you've made because it represents who you are as a person. When you keep a promise despite obstacles, you demonstrate a level of emotional maturity that goes beyond simply fulfilling an obligation. You show that you can be counted on, even when the going gets tough. When we break promises, it doesn't just affect the people around us. It also affects how we view ourselves. The feeling of guilt that comes from breaking a promise can eat away at our self-worth. When we don't keep our word, we lose trust in our own abilities and our own integrity. We start questioning whether we can rely on ourselves, and that self-doubt can carry over into other areas of our lives. On the other hand, keeping promises, especially when it's difficult, strengthens our self-esteem and reinforces a positive self-image. Every time we keep our word, we affirm to ourselves that we are dependable, trustworthy, and capable. These small acts of self-respect can have a profound impact on our overall sense of worth and our emotional well-being. When we honor our promises, we build a foundation of self-trust that supports us through all aspects of life. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes we make promises we can't keep. It's important to acknowledge this reality. However, it's not necessarily the inability to keep a promise that defines us. Rather, it's how we handle the situation. If something prevents us from following through, the way we communicate and address it speaks volumes about our emotional maturity. If you can't keep a promise, it's essential to communicate that honestly and respectfully. Explain the situation, apologize sincerely, and offer a solution if possible. Taking responsibility, being transparent, and showing that you care about the other person's feelings demonstrates emotional intelligence. It shows that you value your relationship with them enough to be honest, even when the situation is difficult. So, the next time you make a promise, whether it's a small commitment or something larger, remember that it's not just about the words you say. It's about building trust, respecting yourself, and showing emotional maturity when things get challenging. Keeping promises is a powerful way to demonstrate who you are, not only to others but also to yourself. As we've explored how our interactions with others and our promises reflect our emotional intelligence, there's something even more profound that we need to address: how we treat our internal commitments. These promises are often the most difficult to keep because they involve our personal growth, our health, our dreams, and our sense of self-worth. Yet, honoring the commitments we make to ourselves is perhaps the most important part of leading a fulfilling and meaningful life. How often do you make a promise to yourself? We often set goals, resolve to exercise more, eat healthier, read more, or learn new skills. We tell ourselves, "This is what I'm going to do." And yet, sometimes those promises fall by the wayside. It's easy to prioritize promises to others. After all, those are visible and tangible. But the promises we make to ourselves are often invisible. They're easy to ignore, and when they slip through the cracks, we can easily brush them off. However, internal commitments are foundational to personal growth. These are the promises that require the most discipline, the most perseverance, and the most emotional maturity. They often go unnoticed by the outside world, but they are the ones that define our true character. Keeping these promises to ourselves isn't just about self-discipline. It's about cultivating respect for ourselves. When we prioritize these commitments, whether it's taking care of our mental health, building healthier habits, or following through on our dreams, we are affirming to ourselves that we are worthy of our own love and care. Keeping promises to others is vital, but keeping promises to ourselves is where self-respect truly begins. The way we treat ourselves, the way we honor our own needs and desires, shapes our sense of self-worth. If we continually break promises to ourselves, whether it's skipping a workout, ignoring our mental health, or abandoning a personal project, we start to lose confidence in ourselves. We begin to question our own abilities and judgment. But when we keep promises to ourselves, we build trust within. Each time we follow through on our commitments, we reinforce a positive relationship with ourselves. This practice is an important aspect of developing self-respect. It's not always easy, and it often requires us to make difficult choices, but the rewards are immeasurable. The more we honor our internal commitments, the stronger our self-esteem becomes, and the more we believe in our capacity to achieve and grow. Now, I encourage you to take a moment and reflect. Think about the promises you've made to others and the promises you've made to yourself. Have you kept them? Have you prioritized them? We all make promises, but sometimes we forget about the promises we made to ourselves. We tend to be harder on ourselves, dismissing our own needs in favor of taking care of others. But self-compassion and self-discipline go hand in hand. The more we honor the commitments we make to ourselves, the more likely we are to have the strength and resolve to follow through on promises to others. Reflect on this. What are the internal promises you've made that you might have overlooked? Are there any goals or commitments you've set aside in favor of external demands? How can you bring your focus back to honoring those promises? This isn't just about completing a to-do list. It's about building a life where your word, both to others and yourself, holds real significance. As we've walked through the importance of small acts of kindness, the value of keeping promises, and the deeper significance of our internal commitments, it's time to pause and reflect on the key takeaways. Life isn't just about grand gestures or big moments. Often, it's the smaller, everyday choices, the way we treat others when no one is watching, how we keep our word, and how we honor the promises we make to ourselves that truly define who we are. The way we show kindness to service workers, handle life's challenges with emotional maturity, and stay true to our personal commitments shapes our character. Each action, whether it's being patient in traffic, respecting others when they're unable to reciprocate, or following through on the promises we make to ourselves, adds to the foundation of our personal integrity. But here's the key question. How will you apply these reflections in your own life? How can you become more mindful of your actions, especially in the little moments that often go unnoticed? What promises have you made, and are you honoring them with the same level of dedication you give to others? Think about the promises you've made, to your loved ones, to your friends, but most importantly, to yourself. How can you become a person who not only honors those promises but holds them sacred, understanding that every commitment, big or small, is a reflection of your character? It's easy to overlook the power of these small moments, but they hold the potential to change the way you see yourself and the way others see you. Our emotional intelligence, our ability to keep our word, and the respect we show to others and ourselves have a profound impact on our relationships, our self-esteem, and our overall happiness. So, I leave you with this. Take a moment today to reflect on the promises you've made and the person you aspire to be. Are you living up to your word? Are you honoring the commitments that truly matter? It's never too late to begin. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you reflect on the promises you've made to yourself and others? What's one change you can make today to keep your word more faithfully? Please share your insights in the comments below. I'd love to read your thoughts and engage in a meaningful conversation. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on personal growth, wisdom, and spirituality. Together, let's continue this journey of reflection and growth. Thank you for watching, and remember, your character is built in the small moments. Honor your word, treat yourself and others with respect, and keep growing.